Should we talk about that article in the Cut?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Ariana. I had to look this lady up.
It's so dark.
I thought I mean, yeah, so Ariana Grande was doing SpongeBob the musical, I think. That's how she met this guy.
Okay. Wait, I was confused. I was like, wait, I thought she did Wicked.
She's doing Wicked now.
Yeah.
But I think she met him. Okay, this fact check me. Whatever.
Wait, my question is, how does a guy who's married to like a pediatric clinical psychologist get to meet Ariana Grande?
Because he was a Broadway actor.
Oh.
He was playing SpongeBob in the SpongeBob musical.
And then classic.
And they fell in love.
Yeah. And they have the same like weirdly black eyes for how pale they are.
Yeah.
He looks like her gay brother.
And he cruelly dumped his wife and left his child to be with Ariana Grande, who bewitched him on.
And then she wrote an essay in the Cut.
Yeah.
Explaining her divorce and introducing herself in like BAP voice. How it make you feel?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was relatively classy.
It was, but that's what drives me nuts about it. Because this essay was unlike all the other Telling My Story essays in that it was sober, sedate, classy. Michelle Obama took the high road when they go low. She never once mentions Ariana Grande.
No, or her husband.
Or her husband.
I initially Googled the photographer who took the photo of her and then was really confused. And it was like, then Googled like husband and it was like, and then I was like, went back.
Yeah.
Then looked at her name, then looked her up, then saw the Daily Mails. Then I was like, okay, this is, because I read the whole thing before knowing what the situation was, thinking she was going to drop it. She was going to say, yeah, my husband left me for Ariana Grande.
Which would be the normal and natural and humble thing to do.
But instead there's all these like my celebrity husband, when I married him, when I deleted Facebook because I'm so discreet and blah, blah. I'm such a good therapist. And my husband, our marriage was one in which, I had this very discreet profession. He had this very public one. But she's never saying his name or what, like.
And it's also mercifully short.
Which is nice.
And maybe I'm so cynical and black-pilled, but I was initially like sympathizing with her and being like, oh, how modest and classy. And then now that you've said it, I'm like, wow, she's like a fierce and monstrous person. And what he did was evil and contemptible, but
human.
But she also like has a hand in this. And when she said, if I can't be invisible anymore, I may as well introduce myself. You know how a sponge is more effective at absorbing liquid when it's already a little bit wet. Please don't over-sexualize my tight, wet pussy.
Ma'am, please. You're a little what?
She repeatedly states how she like strove to be private and invisible in her personal life. Here's a couple of quotes. In this season of shock and mourning over a year after the end of my marriage was made public, I deeply miss the life of invisibility I created for myself as a psychologist specializing in women's mental health. And then here's another one. I loved my life working in a helping profession and being immersed in details of other people's stories rather than documenting my own narrative for public consumption. So she's like a clinically trained psychologist who works with women and children. And so like privacy and invisibility are sort of like part and parcel of her career and therefore her identity. There's a really interesting part where she talks about being a psychologist at the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, supporting women pregnant with babies facing severe or fatal diseases while she's pregnant with her own like healthy, viable son.
Yeah.
Which actually reminded me of Eli's mom, who's sitting in the other room with the baby.
Yeah, because
she's a pediatric palliative care social worker, which is an insane job to have. She's like the godmother of the field. She invented it. But she says, I willed my healthy son glowing inside of me not to overhear these conversations. Survival rates, palliative care, congenital anomaly. Please be okay, I tried to communicate to him. I swaddled my healthy pregnancy in baggy sweaters, bracing for the day a patient would notice my growing fortune and ask, why me and not you? It was the first time a fact about me was announcing itself to a patient, but no one said a word. Which, like, I can relate to, like, the idea of not wanting to showcase your pregnancy to women who are facing tragic and or terminal pregnancies, because you want to protect your own healthy child from any, like,
ill will.
Yeah, like karmic bleeding into your own situation. Like, I get that.
I mean, when I had to get that intravaginal ultrasound, because I thought I had ovarian cyst, the lady who performed it on me had tons of pictures of her kids, you know?
Yeah.
And I, like, thought that was a little, because certainly she must, at a, like, it wasn't a fertility clinic, it was just OBGYN, but there probably are women there who, you know, and it was, so she asked me if I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was like, no, bitch.
So it's like either insensitive or malicious.
Or it's just they don't think about it. Yeah. But
then she goes on, despite my patients being thoughtful, curious, and attentive, not a single one acknowledged our shared condition. I truly believe they did not allow themselves to see my pregnancy at all. Knowing that the person they asked to witness their grief was floating through a healthy pregnancy was too much to contend with, so they looked away. That felt to me like a lot of damning with faint praise. Like, it's almost like she believes the opposite of what she's saying about her patients, that they could have been, like, more thoughtful and curious and attentive, and she wanted them to be, and they weren't. And I'm sure, like, that some of them didn't mention it not because they were protecting themselves, but because they were protecting her.
Well, also because they're her patient.
Yeah.
And, like, which she also describes in the article, like, the dynamic of a patient, analysand, and their shrink is, you, like, you're not that interested. You're paying them to be your therapist. You don't have to ask them about
and it's
their
like,
life. They're not your therapist.
As a material matter, and also as, like, a matter of, I don't know, like, social harmony, you don't inquire about the life of your shrink, even if there are certain conspicuous signs that something great or horrible is happening in their life.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea. You don't ever cross the, like, fourth wall or whatever.
They have their own shrink that they talk to.
Yeah.
About how annoying you are.
Yeah, so these patients that she kind of almost backhandedly accuses of not being sensitive enough were just following standard protocol out of, like, politeness and decency. That's what it feels like to me. Call me crazy.
I mean, yeah. But charitably, I think okay. She didn't want to be she married a theater actor.
Yeah.
Who's kind of
he was
fugly.
her high school sweetheart.
Yeah. And I do think that she, wasn't expecting him to fall in love with
Ariana Grande. Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't expect that either.
I like believe that she did want to have a discreet life, and it's been compromised due to forces out of her control. Yeah, she wanted to have, like, a
normal, happy, married life with have a family. Yeah, I get all that.
And so, like, this, I can understand sort of why she would pen this article, which is pretty compartmentalized and remote, and is revelatory of her own psychology in an interesting way, but it still is, like, I do feel, I mean, she's a clinical psychiatrist or whatever. Or a psychologist. I guess, yeah. So, yeah, on some level, I think she made a rational calculation that this was the best way to kind of, like, save face. Not save face, but
Well, I was thinking about that
she had to, like, she felt she had to acknowledge this new aspect of her reality that she didn't plan for.
Well, no, but see, I don't buy that. I think like her two options were bring it up individually with her patients, which would possibly be awkward and unprofessional, but worthwhile, or not say anything at all and continue her life as a private and invisible person. This is something else.
Yeah.
And like I like hate that I have this instinct, this intuition, but every single time like a woman pens a story that's like telling her story, like my spidey sense goes off because I know what she's angling at, and it's like innocent and understandable as long as she's honest about it, but they're never honest about what their real intentions are. That's like, it's like, I don't hate women. I just hate how much they lie and make the rest of us bear witness.
Yeah.
She also does this thing where she repeats this line again about how her patients like surely must know about her like public, messy tabloid divorce.
Yeah. Which
but never seem to mention it in the context of therapy. Which, like, why would they? They're, again, like being respectful and following the protocol.
Yeah.
And also, they're like self-interested, rational people and want to talk about themselves. They don't care about her. And they're paying her to talk about themselves.
They're in therapy, so they probably have a narcissistic disturbance and don't even really think about her personal life.
But it's crazy because, like, the new therapy is like narcissists interfacing with narcissists. Because, all therapists are narcissists too now. And like, it almost feels like what she really wants is like the classic thing that all women want, which is like credit for being like dealt an unfair card and handling it gracefully. But the thing is, like, the moment that you expect the credit, you don't deserve it anymore. I'm guilty of this myself, by the way, where I'm like, oh, look how reasonable and patient I am in dealing with the haters. I have my reputation for being a vile and vicious cunt is so overblown, which is true, by the way. But the minute that I start to ideate that way, that I've like lost the war and I'm a raging narcissist who's like on her high horse. And if I was like you'd
say, what
noble
haters?
person,
I didn't notice.
Yeah, I would not notice. Like, everybody wants that, especially women. It's like women will do this thing like in the office where they'll like nurse and help somebody through getting a promotion, and then they'll be mad that they weren't offered the promotion. And it's like, well, you didn't specify that you wanted it.
Yeah. Or they go out of their way to like dote and care because they want some kind of credit, and then seethe because they don't get it. I mean, speaking from experience,
Yeah. And it's like, and she wants to feel like her being a private and invisible person was a choice and a virtue and not like an accident of her personality or constitution. And I understand that it's like devastating and horrible going through life thinking that you have like a marriage and a family and that your husband likes you for these specific reasons, and then he like flips around and marries a woman who's like the exact opposite of you and is known for being like a famous anorexic. And you're like, what? Like okay, I'm not.
That's why I wouldn't date him or definitely marry an actor.
Yeah, he's not even a real actor.
He
like,
is.
Well, okay, but was he?
He's a theater actor, which is
so
realer.
He's the realest actor.
He's
of
kind
all
of the
time.
realest actor in a way. But yeah, she thought that they could have, he could be maybe a middling theater actor.
Yeah, and I'm sure like a lot of her rage. She was probably so excited
when he got cast as SpongeBob.
Wait, what did Ariana Grande do on that?
I mean, I might have this all wrong, but that's what I think happened. She had some role. Let me look it up.
Okay. But yeah, like a lot of her anger and rage obviously comes from the fact that like she thought it was like a noble thing to live life as like a private, invisible person helping others. But then it turns out that her high school sweetheart who like married her and had a kid with her didn't really care about that and ended up shacking up with like a mega celebrity.
Ethan Slater is best known for his role as SpongeBob SquarePants in the musical of the same name, for which he won a Tony Award.
Okay, so he's okay.
Yeah, he's not, you don't get on Broadway for nothing. Oh, okay, never mind. They met on the set of Wicked.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. He began a relationship with Ariana in early 2023, whom he met on the set of Wicked. Got it.
I mean, it's so hard to analyze the situation because mostly I don't care, but what he did to this woman is really gross and despicable.
She says, while our partnership has changed, our parenthood has not. Both of us fiercely love our son 100% of the time, regardless of how our parenting time is divided. It's like,
yeah,
tell us how you really feel.
It's like, yeah, okay, you don't have to be like a perfect little cookie cutter martyr at all times.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, what this guy did to this woman is despicable and unforgivable and frankly wicked.
Yeah. Naughty.
He's a loser and he's not that attractive.
And he's going to get his, I mean,
he's going to get his karmic retribution, which has nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I hate to say it, but he and Ariana seem very physically well matched.
Right, but she's going to
They're like right.
That's
for
what I
each
mean
other.
by his karmic retribution is like,
Yeah.
his relationship with Ariana Grande. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
yeah, who knows?
Maybe like she seems,
but she
volatile.
Has to,
the
this
eating
lady
disorder.
Who's a clinical psychologist and should know better, has to separate her legitimate and real feelings of betrayal, which would have occurred whether or not he left her for a celeb.
Yeah.
From her feelings of narcissistic rage by comparison to the celeb.
Yeah.
Like, which is why she's writing the story in the first place.
In this way.
Because this whole affair has readjusted her expectations of like what she wanted from life. Because prior to this, she was like perfectly happy and content with being like an invisible and private person in the helping professions. But then when her husband left her for like a famous pop star, she started thinking like, wait a second. Which is, I get it. It's very sympathetic and understandable.
I mean, what would you do?
I wouldn't write a story.
You would continue your clinical practice.
Yeah, I would continue being a private, invisible person if that's the life I chose.
Yeah.
I would never publicly weigh in on the situation.
I'd be like Dr. Melfi after she got raped in that stairwell. Be a total pro.
And I say this, by the way, like truly with
it makes
full
me just not
sympathy
trust her,
for this woman.
As a therapist, not as a person. But
yeah.
I'm like, you seem like you're not a very good.
Yeah, she's already violated the ethical contract between her and her patients by revealing
like anecdotal
to them what happened in this way when they already knew and chose not to bring it up as a matter of respect and professional conduct.
Yeah. And like using her other little anecdotal tidbits. I mean, you're allowed to do that. That's not unethical, but it is just, it gives me pause.
Mm-hmm. And it is super grating, like how kind of benevolent and equanimous, is that the right word? She seems in the article when she's clearly like seething with rage, as she should be.
Yeah. I wouldn't write the article either.
I know. It's like crazy. Like, I mean, okay, like I have to say, like she won in the end.
Well, she's like Luigi.
Yeah.
You know, the majority stands with like, she's the
I hope she hears this, bro.
She's the sympathetic character in this. And even long before when the story came out that this guy left his high school sweetheart and child and stuff, everyone was like, oh, everyone felt bad for her.
Yeah, she's a pretty young woman with a real job and a beautiful child, and she won. Yeah. And her theater kid Broadway husband who's dating...
He's got his own demons.
Anorexic ass Ariana. I don't know anything about... I have nothing bad to say about Ariana Grande. Actually,
no.
Really
I like her too. Of course. I'd be devastated if my husband left me for it. That's Spinner.
I think like if a man leaves you for... major celeb,
Hey,
Hey,
what can you
it's
do?
within the realm of human nature.
You know, that sounds reasonable. It's people, especially. Okay, well,
It's human nature. It has nothing to do with you, is what I'm saying.
it's in part human nature, but also actors. It's a tale as old as time. They are always cheating. They're messy as fuck. They're mentally, emotionally unstable people.
Well, and I bet when he got with her, she was probably like the prettiest girl in their high school and like smart and ambitious. And he was like, yeah, this is what my life is going to be. And then he met Ariana Grande and was like, whatever, bro, YOLO.